short bio on Magda. A native of New York City, Lower East Side, of Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian heritage. Way, that all the way.
And Puerto Rican.
And Puerto Rican. Equa Rican. She has written, performed, produced her own original works nationally. Okay. Both solo and as part of the group Las Gallas, which many of you know. All right. She received several fellowships, including the Independence Foundation, and most recently was one of 12 women to accept the Leeway Foundation's Transformation Award. That's another applause. Come on. The Leeway Foundation has recognized her work using writing as a tool for communication and transformation. Magda also has a little surprise for us. I'll give it a little bit away. She has invited her nephew, 8th grader from the Westchester in New York City, who is going to read 2 of his poems.
Wow.
So, it's all yours.
Is that all right? Now you have to do it because we said it.
Oh, we were good.
So good afternoon and thank you all for coming. It's a beautiful Saturday, so I'm really touched that you're here instead of taking a walk. So I'm going to try really hard to make it worth your while and make you feel like you made a good choice. This has been actually Carmen invited me to do this in December and asked if I would read, and I said yes. And like most times when I say yes to something and the thing gets closer, I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? And that's how it felt, but it's also evolved. And so I thought I was gonna do one set of work and found myself really looking at a different set of work in light of Julia de Burgos and what she means in Puerto Rican literature, but also in Latin American literature and poetry. So for those who may not know as much about Julia de Burgos, and for those who know more, feel free to correct, add anything else. She's a Puerto Rican poet. She was born in 1914 and died at the age of 39 in New York City. She was born in Carolina, which is sort of the northeast side of the island, close to San Juan. And I'm convinced I'm related to her. First of all, because I think she's a great poet, so why not? It's the part of the island my grandmother and my mother is from, and we're both Garcia Burgos along the line. And besides, when you're on an island, eventually you're somebody's cousin. So it works. So I really thought a lot about her, and someone was interviewing me earlier this week and asking me about Julia de Burgos and what I thought of her, and I realized as I went back and started reading a lot of her poetry that she's timeless. She's timeless because she's thinking about things that we all think about, that I think all of humanity, whether you're a man or a woman, think about, which is these questions of identity and creating space in the world to be yourself, right? And struggling against the parameters that each one of us perceives other people are sort of, whatever this is in words, yeah. Other people are giving you, or that you inherit. So for her, a lot of the struggles were around being a woman of color. She worked, a lot of her work and a lot of her life was spent, especially once she came to the States, working and thinking about issues of racism while she was here, especially in New York City. Issues of economics. She was a member of the Nationalist Party in Puerto Rico with Albizu Campos during her lifetime, the independence movement. And so really, she's doing that in the kind of 30s and 40s, which is a really big deal for a woman, and a really big deal for a woman of color, and a really big deal for a woman when English is not her native tongue. And really big deal, I think, when she comes to New York, because a lot of her work references nature. She, from her youth, was really caught up in nature and rivers and water, and they appear over and over in her work. And so I aspire to such greatness and writing. And she seems to take all these threads, and I think because she's speaking purely as herself, it takes you a little while to see that all those themes are in the work that she's producing, because they don't feel separate, right? These aren't political poems that hit you over the head to tell you this is what's right and this is what's wrong. This is a woman just telling you who she wants to be in the world and how she wants the world to be. And I think that's what I really love, is there's this, and also there's a sensuality to her poetry, even when she's not referencing bodies, right? It's sort of part of her, and I think that's because of her attachment to nature and living things. So I'm gonna start with one of hers and go back and forth. I'll read some of mine, some of hers. I'm gonna, ask my nephew to read something, because one of the lessons I've learned, I also have a poem in here that my father wrote. He doesn't know I'm reading it. I'm reading one of your poems. Because one of my lessons on this journey is that sometimes you feel like you fell out of the sky in your family. Right? You feel like one of these things is not like the others, and you're the thing that's not like the others. And then in a moment, you realize how untrue that is, right? That perhaps what you do is you are in a time and place where you can feel free to be the thing that is not like the others. Sorry. And don't do that. He cries and I cry, it just happens. And that perhaps other people have not had that same privilege. So here we go. So we'll start with Julia's, and I'll read them in English, in Spanish and then in English for those who may not understand Spanish. And luckily, here's an edition that has both. And they're on sale here if you fall in love with her work. A Julia de Burgos, and this one is read a lot. So for those of you that are listening in English while I'm speaking Spanish, she's in essence writing to herself, who she believes herself, her core self to be, and to her social mask self. So here we go. A Julia de Burgos. Ya las gentes murmuran que yo soy tu enemiga, porque dicen que en verso doy al mundo tuyo. Mienten, Julia de Burgos, mienten, Julia de Burgos. La que se alza en mis versos no es tú, es mi voz, porque tú eres ropaje y la esencia soy yo. Y el más profundo abismo se tiende entre las dos. Tú eres fría muñeca de mentira social, y yo, viril destello de la humana verdad. Tú, miel de cortesanías, hipocresías, yo no, que en todos mis poemas desnudo el corazón. Tú eres como tu mundo, egoísta, yo no, que en todo me lo juego a ser lo que soy yo. Tú eres solo la grave señora señorona, yo no, yo soy la vida, la fuerza, la mujer. Tú eres de tu marido, de tu amo, yo no. Yo de nadie o de todos, porque a todos, en mi limpio sentir y en mi pensar me doy. Tú te rizas el pelo y te pintas, yo no. A mí me riza el viento y a mí me pinta el sol. Tú eres dama casera, resignada, sumisa, atada a los prejuicios de los hombres, yo no. Que soy yo, Rocinante, corriendo, desbocado, olfanteado, horizontes de justicia de Dios. Tú en ti misma no mandas, a ti todos te mandan. En ti mandan tu esposo, tus padres, tus parientes, el cura, la modista, el teatro, el casino, el auto, las alhajas. Wow, that's a tough one. El banquete, el champán, el cielo y el infierno, y el qué dirán social. En mí no, que en mí manda mi solo corazón, mi solo pensamiento. Quien manda en mí soy yo. Tú, flor de aristocracia, y yo la flor del pueblo. Tú en ti lo tienes todo, y a todos se lo debes, mientras que yo, ni nada a nadie se lo debo. Tú clavada al estático de viviendo ancestral, y yo, un uno en la cifra del divisor social. Somos el duelo a muerte que acerca fatal. Cuando las multitudes corren alborotadas, dejando atrás cenizas de injusticia quemadas, y cuando con la tea de las 7 virtudes, tras los 7 pecados corren las multitudes contra ti, y contra todo lo injusto y lo humano, yo iré en medio de ellos con la tea en la mano. And I'm going to try and do it in English. And as I read this, I thought, wow, applause to whoever translates poetry, because it's really hard, and it's not a job that I would want. To Julia de Burgos, already the people murmur that I am your enemy, because they say that in verse, I give the world your me. They lie, Julia de Burgos. They lie, Julia de Burgos. Who rises in my verses is not your voice. It is my voice. Because you are the dressing and the essence is me. And the most profound abyss is spread between us. You are the cold doll of social lies, and me, the virile starburst of the human truth. You, honey of courtesan hypocrisies, not me. In all my poems, I undress my heart. You are like your world, selfish, not me, who gambles everything, betting on what I am. You are only the ponderous lady, very lady, not me. I am life, strength, woman. You belong to your husband, your master, not me. I belong to nobody, or all, because to all I give myself in my clean feeling and in my thought. You curl your hair and paint yourself, not me. The wind curls my hair, and the sun paints me. You're a housewife, resigned, submissive, tied to the prejudices of men, not me. Unbridled, I am a runaway Rocinante, snorting horizons of God's justice. You and yourself have no say. Everyone governs you. Your husband, your parents, your family, the priest, the dressmaker, the theater, the dance hall, the auto, the fine furnishings, the feast, champagne, heaven and hell, and the social, what will they say? Not in me. In me, only my heart governs, only my thought. Who governs in me is me. You, flower of aristocracy, and me, flower of the people. You and you have everything, and you owe it to everyone. While me, my nothing, I owe to nobody. You, nailed to the static ancestral divide, and me, a number in the numerical social divider. We are the duel to death, who fatally approaches. When the multitudes run, rioting, leaving behind ashes of burned injustices, and with the torch of the 7 virtues, the multitudes run after the 7 sins, against you and against everything unjust and inhuman. I will be in their midst with my torch in my hand. Back to read that in a second. Now you get to hear something. So as I was thinking about how to structure this so we could have a journey together, that's actually what I did. I planned a journey for us. Sort of thought about the journey, the teachers, the lessons, and the dreams. And so very broadly and loosely, that's how these are organized. I take poetic license in all of this. So I just wanted to start actually with the journey. And so I think each one of us takes a journey and we document it in different ways. I happen to write, because if not, ideas just get stuck in my head in a loop and they won't go away. I think for most artists that happens, something just gets stuck in you. And if you're a visual artist, it's because that's how that needs to get out of you so you can move on to the next thought. And if you write, that happens to be the way to do it. But even if you don't identify as a creative, I urge everyone to find a way to get those things out. Because when they don't come out, I think that's when we endanger ourselves as people. If dreams and thoughts don't have a place to go, they sort of sit inside of you. So, there's my philosophical dissertation for the day. Go back to the poems. So here we go. And now I'm a lady of a certain age, so I have to put my glasses on. She wandered in space, reserved, recessed, retreated from life, uneasy, unhappy, unorganized. It was time to clean. The shelves, the closet, the dishes, her body, the bathtub, the carpet, the countertops, her soul. Long overdue, announced its arrival in bouts of dusting, disposing, dispensing desire for singing, for dreaming, for voice, for freedom, to shed years, pounds, anchored yesterdays. Circadian birth emerged from dormant ground. In the early days of the new day, they would find a perfectly cast shell of her former self, split neatly down the center of her new journey. Glints of newly formed morning-dewed wings, makeshift mirrors of the morning sun. If you want to ask something or say something, feel free. This doesn't have to be a monologue. I'd prefer if it wasn't. But I did want to say that if nothing else, I'm also grateful for the fact that, sometimes people write or make art and you're searching, I was thinking about this, and you're searching for fame or recognition. And I realized today that if what writing poems gives me is a moment to be in a room with people that I love and admire and adore, that's pretty darn good. Tribu. And I think this one's about search. So tribu means tribe, in case anyone needs that translated. One false move led to the path of the sonambulos, the sleepwalkers. Sonambulos, traveling the world in long, unending waking dream, listening to incessant scratches on tar, asphalt, against flesh which can no longer know itself, among these strange, uninviting substances. How did I lose the tribe? The world of browns, reds, yellows, deep unending turquoise blues, soft whispers of oh, nene, oh, nene. The tattered map that leads back. Answer, don't stop singing. The notes lead home. The song recounts the journey, and you will return drenched in the life that you have lived. The tribe is patient. It always has been. It waits for you. Defend the tribe. Defend the tribe. Listen to the soft whispers that stir your heart, that remind you to smile, that protect you from the Arctic winds. So if India has nature, I realized going through my poems that I have colors, because I think deep down inside I'm a frustrated painter. I like mixing paint. I don't know what to do with it afterwards. So here we go. And just so that it can help you, for me, it's gonna sound funny. I feel like I had colors in my youth, lost them in my teenage years and college years, and then found them again later. And I remember a distinct point in my life where someone, I went to predominantly mainstream white schools, and someone commented on the fact that I looked good in red, but that people like me looked good in red. And I sort of vowed to myself that I would never wear red again. And so I didn't. And it took lots and lots of years before I thought, well, yeah, I look good in red. I look good in blue. Why am I not wearing those colors? And I think sometimes without thinking, we try very hard not to be noticed, especially if we think that means that we're different, and especially in our youth. So, here we go. Blacks, grays, browns, and navy blues presided. Into hiding, the red, orange, greens, blues, purples of my youth. Los chillones, quieted, silenced, exiled, roughly tossed away to limbo. No stick, no music, no fun. Withdrawn from view, so long, so long. Making my own passage on small bits of green lushness, sunlight strewn, water-soaked blue of truth, self, renewed self, spinning, dancing, the rhythm of speech, of dance, the knowing returns, pigment uttered, working blue, con chistes rojos, on azure shores, green with envy of esperanza, verde spinning the threads of story to cloak body and soul. In the loud crying song, verde luz de monte mar, verde luz de monte mar, verde tierra, verde que te quiero verde, brisas amarillas, noches rojas llenas de cielo negro, hasta que salpican sobre mi piel, pelo, cara, camisa, zapatos, envuelta en una desnudez de seda sonriente llena de color. So how long can people listen to poetry? It's my question. I'm gonna stand up. So this next piece is really part of the journey, is part of what I see as the journey, in the 40s and 50s, was the Puerto Rican Great Migration to the United States, where about half the population of the island left the island and came to New York, or parts thereof, but a lot in New York. And that's when my mother's family came here. So I went back, gosh, it's been almost 10 years. The last time I went back, I realized, or what I thought was, the people here don't look like the people I think of as Puerto Rican in the United States. And I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. There's a part of the genetic pool that lifted itself and left and is now somewhere else, right? And I thought a lot about that, and it probably didn't help that I was visiting my friend who's an ethnographer in Puerto Rico. And so we had all these conversations about that. How many times have you seen this face? Steenson, ethnographer, asks. Thousands of times. On my students, their parents, grandparents. The faces of the migratory 45. 45% of a people journeyed, rushed, crossed water, disposed of lifetimes. Keepers of faith, desperation, the adventurers searched 45 years for a promised land. The weary-handed peones, stain-fingered tabacaleros, blurry-eyed berry-seeking cafeteras, children of the wandering tribe, mandated not by God, by geographies, politics, colonies. The faces, arms, hands of those who left, whisper, return in every moment. Collective memory of time in the campo itself, circling itself in endless life and death. These faces that freeze us, a stopped clock, peculiar politics, society, we battle for Aliso, even when in the place called Puerto Rico, he passes into history. We hold their ties, binding us to invisible farms, concrete earth in New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia. Mother abuelas cover living rooms with green. the need for campo, for air. Blossoming weeds in concrete cannot be quieted. We've wandered 50 years, searching for the land promised. To find it dwelled within. I am the dream of rootless farmers, bent, broken cane workers, a Goya truck driver who drove Corregel. Now she's doing it. Dolores, who cleaned houses. Wandering for 60 years, I am the face. This face, these arms, these hands, these legs. I have seen this face 1,000 times. Awakening morning after morning, Wonder Woman-sized bangles of silver armor my wrists. I am their promised land. We are the promised land of time eternal. Puertos ricos, puertos únicos, puertos eternos, puertorriqueños. So I grew up in New York City on the Lower East Side, now known as the East Village. And when I went to visit New York last time, I thought, wow, this is interesting. The people working in the restaurants that are there now would have been the people living in the apartments above, but they can't afford the apartments above anymore. So my brain just took a second. But it also put me in that place of reverie. So we used to go to the beach a lot, spend our summers there, and we took the subway to Coney Island, which took about a half hour, more, almost an hour on the F train. Coney Island? Brooklyn, there you go. And so it struck me that it was this intense search for water, that we were looking for water, that we were looking for the place to be by the water. And just this whole idea of inherited memory. I was born in Manhattan. The search for water, why is it in me? Who knows? But here you go. Search for water. Cacerolas of arroz y habichuelas, pollo frito, my mother up before the sun to make southern fried chicken so we can drag it on the F train. Hot, sticky, over an hour to Coney Island, packed metal shopping carts that sink in gray-brown sand, carpeting cold sienna brown Atlantic. The pack, the tribe, often 12, 15, 20 strong. If one is the loneliest number, 2 or 3 is sadder, an almost crowd. The men, still sinew, muscle, and youth, haul 20-pound metal coolers where ice lasts all day, so we can all comer bien. Onto sand, hot, so hot, like sand crabs, toes dig hard to find sweet relief. Maybe the kids trusted with the radio because, well, why would we be together without music? The right spot to be selected so that endless rows of sabanas, muted yellows, greens, and orange, one against the other in an endless cotton floral road leading to each tío, tía, mami, papi, abuelo, abuela. Women yelling at small feet to keep off the blanket. Small feet squirm, waiting, aching to dive into the water. Waiting for fathers to begin the walk to shoreline like so many penguins. Mothers unpack food, which returning small, salty brown hands eat. Grit crunching between sea-washed molars, saline-covered tongues. Plastic cups, molds for sandcastles on the shoreline, on the place where sand meets water, where we belong. When the mothers brave the waves, not wanting to mojarse el pelo, the day dwindling, the time to be together, one clan disappearing. Moms help get the sand out of your suits so you can change into pants on the beach wrapped in a towel. You begin to fall asleep on the F train. You will be old enough soon to call out dibs for the shower, because if you are last, you get to be sticky and salty, only to step into a sandy tub, the remnant of the Atlantic. Now different and uncomfortable, encased in cement. So the next piece I'm going to read is actually from Julia de Burgos, who now I've decided I just want to know everything about her and become a Julia de Burgos scholar. So thank you, Taller, for giving me a new meaning in life. Because she pretty much fascinates me. Yo misma fui mi ruta, which means I was my own path. I was my own route. Yo quise ser como los hombres quisieron que yo fuese, un invento de vida, un juego al escondite con mi ser. Pero yo estaba hecha de presentes y mis pies planos sobre la tierra promisora. No resistían caminar hacia atrás y seguían adelante, burlando las cenizas para alcanzar el beso de los senderos nuevos. A cada paso adelanto en mi ruta hacia el frente, rasgaba mis espaldas el aleteo desesperado de tus troncos viejos. Pero la rama estaba desprendida para siempre, y a cada nuevo azote la mirada mía se separaba más y más y más de los lejanos horizontes aprendidos, y mi rostro iba tomando la expresión que le venía de adentro, la expresión definada que asomaba un sentimiento de liberación íntima, un sentimiento que surgía del equilibrio sostenido entre mi vida y la verdad del beso de los senderos nuevos. Ya definido mi rumbo en el presente, me sentí brote de todos los suelos de la tierra, de los suelos sin historia, de los suelos sin porvenir, del suelo siempre, suelo sin orillas, de todos los hombres y de todas las épocas. Yo fui todo en mí, como fue en mí la vida. Yo quise ser como los hombres quisieron que yo fuese, un intento de vida, un juego al escondite con mi ser, pero ya estaba hecha de presentes. Cuando ya los heraldos me anunciaban, en el regreso desfilé de los troncos viejos, y se me torció el deseo de seguir a los hombres, y el homenaje se quedó esperándome. I wanted to be like men wanted me to be, an attempt at life, a game of hide and seek with my being. But I was made of nows, and my feet level upon the promissory earth, would not accept walking backwards, and went forward, moving the ashes to reach the kiss of new paths. At each advancing step on my route forward, my back was ripped by the desperate flapping wings of the old guard. But the branch was unpinned forever, and at each new whiplash, my look separated more and more and more from the distant familiar horizons. And my face took the expression that came from within, the defined expression that hinted at a feeling of intimate liberation, a feeling that surged from the balance between my life and the truth of the kiss of new paths. Already my course now set in the present, I felt myself a blossom of all the soils of the earth, of the soils without history, of the soils without a future, of the soils, always soils without edges, of all the men and all the epochs. That's a hard word for me in English, too. And I was all in me, as was life in me. I wanted to be like men wanted me to be, an attempt at life, a game of hide and seek with my being. but I was made of nows. When the heralds announced me at the regal parade of the old guard, the desire to follow men warped in me, and the homage was left waiting for me. I'm gonna do one more about the journey, I think. And if someone can keep me, I meant to wear my really big watch so I would know what time it was, but I forgot to put my really big watch on. So I also just want us to give us time to chat if you want to afterwards. Saturdays when I was growing up, when I grew up on the Lower East Side, it was a 3-bedroom apartment with about 9 or 10 people who lived there. Sleeping was always interesting, but you were also never alone. And Saturdays, you got up to clean the house. That's what you did Saturday morning, no ifs, ands, or buts. Everyone was involved. Mañana por la mañana, llena tu casa de flores. Sábado mañana, we clean the casa. De pie a cabeza se limpia. Los pies, las cabezas se aclaran, se perfuman, santificando lo africano. Sábados are filled with women cleaning house, body, and mind, offering offerings of aluminum crosses, alcohol crosses lit on linoleum. Apples filled with honey, gold glitter, cocos, spiritual dry mops. Hola tunje, Celina y Reutilio. Oh mi Yemaya, quítame lo malo, y échalo en el mar. But the mar is far away. The East River snakes, dark and bottomless. It will have to do as the resting place of the occasional coconut. Later in autumn, the Orthodox will come with their children. Money, not coconuts, will come to the river. Sit as it snakes to atone for a year's worth, quitándose lo malo. The river, where red-wrapped coconuts and dollars tow away army soldiers by hopes of redemption. All that is grand and human. Just gonna take a little break. So,
I'd like to make an announcement so she can take a little break.
yes. Another voice.
Announcement for Taller, of course. You all know that we are in the process of having this great new building down the block. And our target goal is that in October, we do groundbreaking. But of course, before we get there, there's still a little bit of more money that we need to grab. That's why on your chairs, you have this so you can pledge whatever you like, all right? If you don't want to make a big pledge, then the other option is that in the back, there's a little box and you can put in your dollars. Every little dollar counts. So please be generous, whether it's making a small donation here today or making a final pledge where maybe you can even choose to have your name on the building. You decide. It's up to you. The other thing also that I would like to say is that you have this children. And if you haven't become a member of Taller, that's a no, all right? Because you know most of these events are free, so you should be a member. Help us out. On the bottom of this brochure, you have the application to become a member. And again, you have choices whether you want to make a small donation to become a member or a large donation. Whatever your donation is, there's also a category of discounts that you get here on any purchase. Really charges for the Schomburg, which happened last month. And you even get a discount for those small events that we do charge, okay? So keep that in mind. Is that long enough for you?
Yes.
All
I hope it was long enough for them. It's always good to hear somebody else's voice. It's 5:04. Okay. It's 5:04.
Yeah.
Man, can I talk? Okay, so it's 5:04. Ready? So as I said before, yes.
It's 4.
Oh, it's 4? Okay. So I lost the 5 minutes
4.
even.
You lost 5.
Thanks, Pepon. So, I actually want to sort of move from the place of sort of nostalgia and journey and how we get here. Can people hear me in the back? Because now I'm sorry, I didn't realize there were that many people in the back. Okay, good. So that means I'm loud, or you're all very young and have good ears. So I wanted to also point out a little bit this idea of where perhaps poetry can come from when you think you're the only one in a family. And this became really apparent to me when when my grandmother passed away. I wrote her eulogy. And in some ways it was the first time my father had heard me read, it was the first time my father had heard me read anything I had written in public, because I'm kind of a closet writer, believe it or not. So if I'm fidgeting, that's a sign of my wishing there was something here between us where you could hear me but not see me. But I realized that words have always inspired me, and other words have always inspired me. And when the funeral was over, my father and I were at the back of the church, and he came over to me and he said, my father calls me Magdita. He goes, Magdita, I have some poems. You fix them for me? And it was the first time I even realized he wrote poems. My whole life I didn't know. So maybe it runs in the family. So it's time to uncloset ourselves and claim what's ours. So I am going to read. And also I think there's poetry everywhere, all over the place. We speak in it, we feel it. I think when we're closest to who we really are, it just tumbles out of our mouths. When we're speaking from the core of our being, or when we're moving from the core of our being, there's poetry there. So my father sent me a picture once with a little note, and I kept the note because I thought he just wrote me a poem, and he probably doesn't think he did. Hola, Magda. Te saludo y espero estés bien. Te envío las fotos y la espinita que tengo en el corazón. Ahora me siento mejor y espero que lo aceptes. Tu papi. Ooh, a bunch of crying people up here. So here it is in English. It's very short. Hello, Magda. I greet you and hope that you are well. I am sending you the photos and the small thorn that I have in my heart. I feel better now and hope that you accept this small thing. Your papi, love always. So I'm planning the yellow book is my papi, but don't look at him right now because he's crying and probably gonna So actually I'm going to invite the future, I think, poet, or one of the poets in my family, because now I've decided I don't really know who is or isn't because they're not telling. So is my nephew Marco. Thank you. And he's going to read 2 pieces. And he's scared, he just said. And I told him he can tell the audience he's scared and they will support him. Yeah. Big loud voice, because those people back there, they have to hear you.
Relax. Deep breath.
The white snow covers the ground like a blanket swaddles a baby. Sun hits the frigid snow, a glimmer of hope that you will escape from this place of hatred, leaving the pain behind, and become my warrior, the only warrior, my titi.
Louder!
Louder? Okay, louder. Belt it out, Mimi.
Please.
It is survival of the fittest. All that matters is who's stronger, smarter, more attractive, and wealthier. Because nowadays, you have to be at the top. But why can't it just be who you are, where you are, and why can't people just accept people? It's because they are not accepted. They feel the struggles we feel, but do not know how to let them out. Because they have a fear that they will fall to the bottom and be eaten by themselves. Because they do not know how to let their emotions out and pour into a lake of knowledge to spread to the lesser, so that they are not the lesser, but the greater, so that they can reach above the fear of the stereotypes of who's stronger, smarter, more attractive, and wealthier. Because we are the people who will break out of the mold. Because we are the people at the top of our own world, where money, looks, strength, and knowledge do not hold us back. Because we are the people who will break the mold and run free. Because there's no stopping us.
Sometimes as an adult you get put in your place. So, my other nephew, Alessandro, is actually a musician. If I'm right, I know, don't worry, I'm not gonna make you do anything. But he's here too. And so, if I can find it really quickly, there's a little something that I wanted to read for him. Uh-oh. That's what happens when you don't organize your stuff. Okay. I'll keep looking for it and I'll read it before we leave. But basically it's for Alessandro, and I wrote it on the day that he was born. So we'll come back to that. So I'm gonna just read. Well, now I'm afraid because if I read it, I'm surprised. Oh no! This other poem, which is another one. So we'll come back. So there's the journey, and then there are the lessons that you learn on the journey. So I'm going to start with one of I think there were two poems that Julia de Burgos wrote in English while she was alive. The more famous, I think, of the two is Farewell from Welfare Island. Welfare Island, now known as Roosevelt Island. And before it was Welfare Island, it was, I forgot now, but while she was there, it was really where they sent chronically ill people, and that's how she ended up at Welfare Island in the hospital. And after her release from there, she died shortly thereafter, and she died without any identification. So she was actually buried in a potter's field, and it took about a month or a month and a half for her family to find out what had happened and bring her back to Puerto Rico. So here we go. Farewell from Welfare Island. So I also like the play there. Farewell, welfare. Okay. Here we go. It has come from here, right this instance, my cry into the world. The past is only a shadow emerging from nowhere. Life was somewhere forgotten and sought refuge in depths of tears and sorrows over this vast empire of solitude and darkness. Where is the voice of freedom? Freedom to laugh, to move, without the heavy phantom of despair. Where is the form of beauty, unshaken in its veil, simple and pure? Where is the warmth of heaven, pouring its dreams of love in broken spirits? It has to be here, right this instance, my cry into the world. My cry that is no more mine, but hers and his forever. The comrades of my silence, the phantoms of my grave. It has to be from here, forgotten but unshaken, among comrades of silence, deep into Welfare Island, my farewell to the world. And so you do get a sense from that she knows what's going to happen. She knows that she's very ill. And from the beginning of her work to this, which is later, much later, she was 39, I think, when she passed away. There's also a change to the tone, to the voice that she's writing in. You can tell this is someone who's involved in struggle. And so for me, the next one I'm going to read what I'm going to read made me think of this poem because I thought how important it is to have even though people think it's a silly word, to have your heroes, however you define them, right? And to know sort of your place in history, right? What grounds you, so that when all else fails, you still have that. Yo no le canto a la luna, porque es luna nada más. Le canto porque ella sabe de mi largo caminar. Le canto porque ella sabe de mi largo caminar. If I had known about Che, I would have written confidently, with the lyricism that flows from my paper to pen. I would never have denied the passion, desire, sensuality of love of Pueblo. I wouldn't have questioned the feeling of a larger, greater, broader self, unencumbered by the eyes of others, frightened, ashamed. Full of belief, I would have striven, never containing the passion, compassion, eternal knowing that I am not one. Langston knew we contain multitudes. I am Caribe, Amazonas, Pampas, mighty and eternal, ever-changing mysteries, writing and speaking. If I had known sooner, Che would have rescued me, along with Albizu, Lolita, Simón. Simón Bolívar es Simón, and Abuela's remedies. I would have known those who sought to make me small were so very, very afraid of a continent, of a bond that fuses so deeply we lose our humanity when we ignore our stories. To tell them, to write them, frightens. So they keep us from pen and paper in the hopes that we will forget. Buried within are the souls that climbed Machu Picchu, built Monte Alban, survived lashings and crossings, and breached the sanctity of their American Congress. We must remember that this is who we are. We must remember that above all, above ourselves is myself. Myself is herself. Herself is self and self and self. From one to another, we fill the orchestra. Reach out your hands, touch one another, see one another, find them. Remember the depth that dwells within. So just a little change of tone. Here's a different kind of lesson. Married to Lacey, and her husband Joe Talasi had shared more of their life than not. This was their adventure. Boston sang through every note. 45 years, honey. That's really New York, I can't do Boston. 45 years. She was 65, he was 67. A fast and real friendship ensued. Working class Boston Italian met working class New York Rican. On the island of fish and bami, ackee and saltfish, red stripe. Life lessons. Make sure he makes you laugh. And make sure you like him a lot. Yeah. At first you'll love him, but that bump and grind stuff, Gone. A la jazz hands. Sometimes you'll roll over and all you can think is, you again? And you won't love him, or his bad breath, or the funky underwear. But if he can make you laugh, if you both laugh, then you choose. You choose yes. You choose yes every day. And let me tell you, doll, sometimes it ain't easy to choose yes. I know, that stayed with me for the rest of my life. I'm like, okay, do I like him? Is he funny?
Yeah.
He is
Yes.
Chose yes.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to think about how this writing thing happened. And I thought about some people who happened to be women who sort of made this journey go. So this is for them. This is actually called for Nicolasa. Nicolasa Moore is a Puerto Rican writer. She's sort of like broke through at a time when it was difficult for people to break through, and I had the honor of meeting her and have her read my stories and tell me what was good about them and bad about them. I remember one she read, she goes, "There's too much crying, mija, get rid of all the crying. She gets to cry once and then that's it, move on." And I thought, okay. So for Nicolasa, she said, "Mija, I have hundreds of ideas." Actually, she said, "I have ideas que me salen hasta por el fundillo." We laughed. I told her about my cafe in Paris, Madrid, Quito, Viejo, San Juan, Buenos Aires. Pick the colonial architecture of your choice backdrop. Me, long hair, braided loose, up, down in a bun, soft tendril wisps caught on my red lipstick lips, red stained cigarette filters, fitted black skirt, open V-neck shirt, black, red, fuchsia, blue pumps. One perched carefully on the tips of my toes, at the end of my carefully crossed legs, not on, not off, writing fantasy. Poof! She said, "The work of a writer, the real secret is not just to write. The secret is to edit, again, and again, and again. That is the work, the hard part. Writing is just writing." Eso de inspiration, the muses want to see you working. I realized the muses are sweat, more sweat, a touch of desperation, and coffee. Look at it, put it away, nothing is precious. Say what you mean what you say. No passive voice. Miss Greenspan, former Rockette, recovering alcoholic chain smoker, studying law at 55, social studies teacher, I was 11, 7th grade. No one else has made adolescence so clear. But that's another story. Above all, the one who told me, who set the path, Miss Hodges. Miss Hodges, the only black teacher I had. 8th grade, Miss Hodges, tall, pure grace, knowledge. She handed out our assignment, a short play. Mine, no grade. See me after class. No grade. See me after class? Everyone left. A first for me. After class, alone. Miss Hodges sat, looked at me. Sit. I did. I wait. Look down. Swallow. You could be a writer. Where are those words coming from? You could be a writer. I wanted to tell you that. I wanted to. I wanted to hug her, but I think you don't hug Miss Hodges. It mattered. For a lifetime, it's mattered. She said it. Mostly it mattered that she said it. It mattered that Miss Hodges said it. I'm sure she knew. She was right. Cook something. Healthy, not healthy, savory, or sweet. Sweets are particularly good choices, like brownies. Number 4, bake brownies. Eat the pan. Fall into an existential crisis of self-loathing. Call a friend. Talk for hours about your lack of self-control, secretly pleased with your self-awareness. While away 4 hours. Number 5, revise list. And add, work out more often, more me time, meditation, yoga, and generally improve myself. Number 6, take a shower. Not taking one would defeat the purpose of clean laundry. Iron clothes you never wear, just in case. Number 8, check Facebook. Number 9, check Instagram. Number 10, check email, because something must be happening somewhere and you need to like it or comment. Number 11, add spend more time to the list with friends to the list. Add spend more time with friends to the list. Number 12, immediately watch TiVo, Netflix, YouTube, cable. Number 13, argue with your significant other, husband, wife, mate, brother, sister, mother, father, friend, teacher, neighbor, boss. Doesn't matter which. In the midst of it, realize you forgot what you were arguing about and why, what position you took, but stand your ground anyway. Number 14, fall asleep. Number 15, wake up. Cross date off list of things to do and write in tomorrow's date. Number 16, go to bed. Number 17, wake up. Number 18, repeat. Where do we want to end? Sorry, my papers got out of order. Sorry. So, yeah, we're down to that. 2. Just a change here. As we get into the end here. I want to change the world. This could be step 1. I want to say something meaningful, useful. I want the burdens, slights, darkness to mean something, and make sure all the privileges mean something. I want all the love, given, received, lost, rejected, to make its way in the world. I want to sing in the morning, every day, in the depths of my feet, in my being, find my song, for you to find yours. The days are different without them. I want to write in the mornings every day. Forget the clock, the meetings, the forms, the institutions. I want to know if he was right when he asked, are we afraid of ourselves? And I answered, yeah. We hide from mirrors on the sidewalks, on the walls, in our eyes, in our souls. I want to be unafraid, beautiful, full of knowledge, music, writing, friendship, love, all kinds of love. Unafraid love, the kinds where I love you and have you, I love you and don't have you, I love you and have you but don't really. The spoken and unspoken kind. I want the journey to matter. I want to be healthy, eat good food with good people at a long, rough-hewn wooden table, laughing and talking and laughing and talking and talking and laughing in a warm, small dining room. Yes, I want a dining room. It has eluded me for a lifetime. Is it really that hard? A table all on its own with chairs, a place to gather. Never underestimate the power of the table to gather, to change the world. I want not to wait to be ready. I am ready not to be ready. I will write and sing like Lola Flores, Atahualpa Yapanqui, Bob Marley, Violeta Parra, Borges, Johnny Cash, Julia de Burgos, Sonia Sanchez. I am ready to stop wanting. I am ready to sing my song, to join at the dining room table, to change my world. This will be the last one. Hey, Ali, where are the blue envelopes? Sorry, I have a little something for you at the end, so I'm getting it ready. Can both of you have one of these to everyone? Yes.
Did you find the poem you were looking for?
I did.
Oh.
But the poem and what you're getting kind of go together.
Okay.
And you're gonna be like, what? Huh? I know, everyone's like, okay, it's blank, what do I need that for? But if you notice, there's a stamp on the envelope. So you don't have the excuse that you don't have a stamp. Can everyone hear? Or should I wait till everyone gets something and then we'll move on? Okay. I wish people would write me letters that have quick notes, a line, so I can save them. Not on my drive or in my inbox. Something that began here. Hey, not to, colon, subject, colon, and ended with love. Hope you are fine as ever. Con cariño, abrazos. Not in a commercial. Please excuse my brevity. Sent from my Droid, Apple, iPod, iPhone, drone, phone, tablet. I can print them without your signature, without your touch, without knowing if you used your favorite pen or pencil or crayon, the closest at hand because you just had to write. On the napkin in the coffee shop, on the back of the envelope, on the cover of a notebook that you tore. I could print them on office paper. Would I bundle them and keep them tied in the box with the others? Pull them down just because? No booting up or charging? In a blackout by candlelight, as I touch the paper you have touched, look at the line where you have written your name or my name or our friend's name, describe the day, the sky, your shoes, and see the misspelled, the crossed out thoughts, editing in real time, gleeful imperfection, and the random fullness of thought. I wish someone would write someone, write me, write you, a quick note today, a letter just because, just a hey, just a dear, just a just. So I invite you to write someone a note today. It doesn't have to be me, whoever you would like, and I invite you to write it because they will keep it and they will open it and they will read it, and they will keep it, and they will open it, and they will read it. So thank you for coming today. But feel free. Yes. The lady from Boston is married to Lacey, and I met her in Jamaica while I was in the Peace Corps. And their 6 children had finally grown up and left the house, so they joined the Peace Corps as a couple. And it was their big adventure. And that's where
I just Magda,
yes.
How did you find out that your nephews were poets? That nobody likes to tell.
So I found out Marco was. I found out the. Come closer. Okay, I'm coming closer.
I think the people in the back think that.
The way that I think I found out Marco was a poet is he wrote me one.
Oh.
The one he wrote about the snow, I was in the hospital and he wrote that one for me while I was in the hospital. And I thought, well, I should give this up because at that point, if he was 12 and that's what he was writing, I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's how I found out. Thanks, Marco. What poets do I read? I have a bag full. I was like, let me bring everything. I do read Julia de Burgos. I have a large E.E. Cummings. Thank you, Jeff. Mario Benedetti, whose work, most of his work hasn't been translated, so a lot of people don't know about him outside of the Latin America. But what I love about him, he has one poem called Ser y Estar, which I love. And it's a whole play, and he's writing to a Marine. The Marines, when the Marines were not Puerto Rican, he's from Uruguay, I believe. When the Americans were in there, and he's sort of writing about why they will never understand us, because they don't understand the difference between ser and estar. And that a woman es buena when she's sexy and delicious. And a woman, right, está buena, thank you, está buena when she's those things. And a woman es buena when she cleans behind the fridge and goes to church. And he just the whole poem is just a play on all of that, and I love it. And I also, like Audre Lorde, and of all people, even though I don't think he likes women very much, I really love Charles Bukowski, who is sort of a raw writer, and I was introduced by a really good friend who's standing back there, hoping we don't notice him. Mark introduced me to Charles Bukowski, and I love him. So I think what I really look for when I'm reading a poem is someone who's obviously, I feel like I am seeing them when I read their work. Not that I'm seeing them attempt to impress me with their technique, because usually they're so good with their technique, I don't notice it until afterwards, right? The poems got me. So those are just a few. Yes?
How did you overcome, did you ever feel like afraid?
Yeah, just now. No, but go ahead.
Like, you know, if you have something already prepared, and some people tell you it's good, right, but it's people that love you.
Right.
How do you overcome that fear to like publish your book? Like if you have already a book, but it's been sitting there for like 6 years.
I don't have a book because I'm not that organized. That list of procrastination is me. So, but I think you can't, in some ways, like if I waited to not be scared of reading anymore, I would not be reading. It's almost like you just have to do it. You have to just wait for that moment when those voices in your head that are telling you not to, go to sleep, right? And you sneak off and you do what you need to do. Because if you wait, you will wait. That will never go away from you, right? I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm nervous every time this happens.
Because now I know.
But I think the thing is, and it's okay for your loved ones to tell you that what you're doing is good because that's their job. Right? Really, if no one else in the world is going to offer you that support, we tend to reject it, right? What we want to look at are the people who are telling us what's wrong.
Right.
We're drawn to those people like magnets, right? But then there are hundreds of other people here like, we are on your side. Someone wrote me a note, my friend Wendy. I said I was nervous about the reading. She goes, don't worry, I'm on your team. Right? Let people be on your team because I'm going to tell you, your family can be just as honest if it's not good. Right? If they're like, Mija, don't go out there and do that, please. For me, for our family name. If they're telling you to go and do it, go and do it. Just send it, see what happens. Because by not doing it, you're saying no for somebody else.
Yeah.
You are already answering for them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just got a couple questions about do you have any singers in your family? Have you written any songs? Because your poetry is very musical. It's not only when you sing, but I feel like great poetry has a relation to song and melody and all that.
So there are these two singers here,
Oh, okay.
my mother and my father, and I grew up, and I think it's very cultural. I think it's very Latin American, or maybe even more specifically Puerto Rican. From the minute we woke up in the morning, the radio was on till we went to bed at night. There was constant music. And so, I mean, even in daily life, people say things to me and it makes me think of a song and it comes right out. Like in the middle of a conversation, which is not always good. But, and so I do think that, you know, there's a Japanese kind of aesthetic, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it because I don't speak Japanese, called mono no aware, which is the pathos of things, the feeling of things. And it's when your feeling and your thought converge, right? When conscious thought, which can be very judgmental, meets feeling, there's a name for that in Japanese, right? But I thought, that is my life, right? And they do believe that is when poetry happens. And that can be poetry in nature, that can be poetry that's written, that can be all kinds of poetry. And so they use the example of a cherry blossom, which is beautiful, but for them it's also a moment where you're melancholic because you know it's going to fade right away. So I think there's this idea of like, thank you, that it's musical, because I think that happens naturally when you're really writing from your place, from who you are. You found your song in a lot of ways.
Since there's no other questions, I would like to thank Magda for this wonderful presentation that she has given. And thank you for enlightening us a little bit more about Julia de Burgos and sharing aspects of your life and your work. Gracias.
Thank you so much. And thank you.
Cuéntale.